Hey friends, today we're talking about the art of storytelling. Last 2 days we've been talking about email marketing and what that means for your email list. I've been harping on the fact that you need to email your people more often. I think it's an important thing. It's an important topic to dive into. But when it comes to your marketing and when it comes to reaching people who truly care about what you're doing and the people who are like your people, you can't do better than a story. Like the most like people's favorite words are like for the majority of human history, actually for all of human history, I will say that is let me tell you a story. Like people lean into that, right? They love hearing stories. We are a storytelling people. For generations on generations, there was actually like a special work class of people whose job it was to tell stories. We all have that friend who we just love hearing stories from. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're going to tell a story. Like you just lean into them. Like for me, my little brother, I'm always so happy to hear him tell a story because he gets it. He understands the structure of story innately. And I think for the rest of us who don't maybe have that storyteller skill as much, it's something that we have to work on. And especially when it comes to marketing, we think, okay, I need to tell this perfectly linear story. And I want to dissuade you of that idea. Like stories don't have to follow this like introduction, middle piece, tension, conclusion. That's how they teach story in you know middle school and high school English because you have to have a framework for how stories work, right? But in reality, that's not how a good story is told. It's how you get your mind around storytelling in general. In fact, most stories don't start with the beginning. Most stories start somewhere in the middle, right? They say you want to catch the reader midstream, and that's the most I think difficult part for beginning writers or even intermediate writers, and hell, even for advanced writers. Like we even have this difficulty in starting not at the beginning of the story, and so when it comes to your social media posts and your email especially, you don't have a long time to catch them. So if you start at the beginning, if you say, all right, when I was back in 2002, I was a high school student, like no one cares, right? No one wants to hear that story. However, if you start with like something like, I was playing car tag with my friends and we were terrified that the cops were going to get us, like you open these loops and it's so interesting. And so I think we'll spend a couple days talking about storytelling. And I think when we talk about storytelling, you have to put yourself in the right mindset as the storyteller, right? As someone telling a story, what position do you sit in? There's a famous, I guess, archetype is the wrong word. There's a famous formula. It's called the hero's journey, hero's circuit, hero's cycle. We'll stick with hero's journey, right? And it was. Let's see if I have the book around here. I don't, but it was made popular, and in my belief, the hero's journey goes through every good story. There are moments in this cycle in this circuit where people will mess with certain parts, but every good story has this. From Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, even Dune, all of those have wonderful heroes' journeys. And so, how it goes something like this. You start with the hero in their normal world, right? So since Dune just came out, we'll use that as an example. So Paul Atreides is on his home planet, right? That's the normal world. He was there, and then he gets a call to adventure, right? And that's where you get called into the ethereal world. Usually there's a rejection of that call in some way. Like think to Luke Skywalker, right? He gets called by Obi-Wan to go be a Jedi, and he says, "No, I don't want that." So that's the rejection of the call. And then the hero is typically forced into the story, right? So Luke Skywalker or Paul, like Luke's forced to go with Obi-Wan because his home is destroyed. Paul is forced to move away from his home planet to Dune. And so there's a couple of points that go on from there. Like when they, the next point is probably the most important. It's called the meeting with the mentor, right? So this person, this hero, gets called into from the normal world to this extraordinary world, and they meet with their mentor, right? They have this person who helps them get there. And where most of us will go wrong, especially in our social media, is that we don't understand our position. We don't understand who we are in this story. Typically, what happens is that most business owners, most entrepreneurs, and most storytellers will try and put themselves in the role of the hero, right? You want to show your people that you have gone from the normal world to the extraordinary world. You've faced the hardships and you've come out with this wonderful gold. That's all well and good, and that may be true. And those kinds of stories can be inspiring. However, that story of you being the hero is only useful insofar as you use it to position your customer as the hero. Your position is no longer the hero. You are not sitting in that seat. You are not going on this journey. You, my friend, you are the guide in this. You are the mentor. You are the person that's going to walk them through. And when you get that mindset shift, when you understand that your position is no longer as the hero, but the mentor, then everything shifts. When you go in to tell a story, you are helping pull that person, the person who desperately needs your help. You're helping pull them from their ordinary world, right? If you're talking about weight loss, if you're talking about fitness, right? You were that person is sitting in the world of, oh gosh, I don't even know if I can start an exercise program. I don't even know where to begin. You are calling them from that world into adventure with you as their mentor. You are going to be there next to them throughout the entire hardship cycle. You are going to be in with them as they go into, they call it the deepest, darkest cave. You're going to help them along the way. And so when you think of yourself as the mentor, you're no longer like, oh, I'm so great. You're now putting them in the position of like, how do I help make them so great? And so I think it's a cool mindset shift because your brand is not now a aspirational thing, right? I'm not trying to be like you so much as I am trying to get help from you. Do you understand that big shift there? Because I think it's important. A lot of times when I read stories, I call them I bombs. I have done this. I have done that. I have done that, and that is why you need to trust me. That's why you need to believe me. No, right? Like go back to even like the story of Hercules. Hercules had a mentor. All of your favorite stories will have a mentor figure somewhere laid throughout them. I challenge you from here on to look for that mentor figure. And so, what does that mean for your brand? Well, it means that you get to talk as if you're the mentor. Like in this situation, like I'm putting you as the hero. You are the writer. I am coming along as the guide in this situation. And so I'm not telling you like, hey, I've written a novel. I've written this many books. I'm working on this book. That doesn't matter to you. What matters is that you can listen to this, you can be transformed, and you can get called from writing boring ass emails that no one reads, that you despise writing, you dread sitting in the seat and typing, to becoming someone who actually writes interesting stories that your clients are going to want to hear. That's the journey I want to take you on. Now, I think we're gonna pause for the rest of today because man, we already took 8 minutes up. So we already took our 8 minutes for today. And we'll look forward to talking about storytelling and the art of story another day, probably tomorrow. But I want to encourage you, sit down and write something for your clients where you put them in the seat, where you say, hey, client, again, I'll use fitness because I'm a former fitness guy. I understand like where you are. I understand that you're going through some hard times. And what I want to encourage you is to come out of that space. I want to encourage you to come into this world of mystery, this world of adventure. And I want to call you into it. And don't worry, I'm going to be there with you the whole way. That's the idea for today is don't worry about telling linear stories, right? Don't worry about going A to B to C. That's not how good stories are told. And stop putting yourself in the position as the hero. That's not your job anymore. You are not someone who is on the great adventure anymore. You are turning around and you are helping others along. You are having them come with you. And so that's the idea. I hope that's helpful for you. Just that one little nugget of converting your story. And I want to encourage you to write something. Even if you're a person who only writes one email per week, maybe next week Maybe you start writing something, and maybe next week you send out a less formal email newsletter. Maybe you take some nuggets from the last 2 videos and you try sending not a templated, really strict email. You send something that's more informal, like, hey Sally, I was thinking about you and I wanted to share something important with you. And that's it. That's all it has to be. So get out there, get going, and write something. Okay, that's enough for now. Bye.